Hello and greetings, my Space Force Association team members and my Air Force Association team members. My name is Shawn Boike, and this is session 3. We had started December 12th on the third birthday of the Space Force's birthday, and we are continuing with session 3, which will be going over the how-tos and the added benefits. So we hope you had a wonderful holiday and welcome to the new year. Let's do great things. All right, now let's do a brief recap. The goal of this is to do exactly what the Space Force mission is able to dominate space and Earth in, from, and to space. This weapon system will dominate it. It can move. Hypersonics have nothing on us, okay? We're talking electromagnetics at almost the speed of light. So we have to do the Space Power Star shield and defend our country from all others. And we could do it to our allies also. The other thing is to remove all our debt. Thank God the great additive or extra benefit of having this awesome weapon system is it removes the debt because it creates energy, which is you can only win a war or dominate Earth if you have the most energy, period. That's what the war without oil had proven. So we have a defined technology, a defined science. We have a defined date by April 3rd, 2033, the most awesome date in the last 2,000 years. We can do it. And then we can also do controlling the weather of this planet and prevent all the disasters that come from bad weather. All right, let's recap this. This is the original NASA Echo. I'm showing it with solar microfabric, the blue around the whole thing. We are using a very similar technology as NASA's first original satellites were. Okay, the coolest thing is over in the lower left. You'll see that giant, I call a big speaker. Hey, Mylar balloon with Piazzi film on it is a giant speaker. So yeah, we could do that for our big party on April 3rd, 2033. We have a bunch of these with LEDs on them. Giant party around the world proving peace on Earth. So yes, we have the patent of the Power Star itself of doing this and the ultimate patent of solar microwave fabric. I've written, David Hyland and myself have written a Society for the Advancement of Material Process Engineering about solar microwave fabric. There's a technical paper out there. Also, I started doing the Space World Protection Plan for the Space Force. Time to get on top of it. All these areas of solar microwave fabric and the Power Star and the NASA Echo and such, this was one of David Hyland's last presentation slides. We do have the existing expertise. We do have the manufacturing facilities and capabilities. We have the launch, deployment, and testing capabilities. We've explained exactly how we would do a prototype and what it is to do it at the right levels. Now, to get to from the TRL levels with a new integration plan and techniques for each application, we definitely need to clean out our space debris and all unauthorized satellites. That's the first thing we do is we send out a bunch of Power Stars to clean out all our space. And it's a directed energy weapon with high-powered microwave. So it's an energy delivery system, but it's also a focused weapon system. That's where we change everything. And who will be the good shepherd to lead us into world domination again? It has to be the U.S. because if it's not, you'd be enslaved by anyone else. All right, peace on Earth, Space Power Star Shield. Session 1, we already had that. And Session 2, both Dr. David Hyland and myself did Session 1 and Session 2. That was back in December 12th while all our Space Force buddies were having a celebration and party over in Orlando, Florida. I hope that you were able to watch session 1 and session 2. The recordings are listed here. This is session 3, which is going to give you good explanation of digital definition and how to develop this. We will also basically discuss at a high level the weather system and how to control the climate control. And then also how to eliminate our debt, interplanetary, touch base on different outer planetary exploration and evolution, and peace and prosperity builder. Let's go on. So this picture, this slide is to represent our 3 different orbits, which is Leo, Meo, and Geo, low Earth, medium Earth, and Geo, which is the moon's in. So we definitely need to do the studies of exactly what needs to be there. Leo is more finite in areas of effectivity, closer to the Earth, right? So you get more accurate and you know exactly what you're doing, where you're doing it. How many need to be put in exactly where and where to put it? It depends on what you want to do too. So for clearing out all our space debris, we need to go through all the orbits, like I've shown represented here with those little balloons there. That would be space, satellites aren't that big compared to the Earth. So, this is just explanations. So yes, we need to go into all the different orbits to clear out the space debris, okay, and unauthorized satellites. We definitely have to do that first of all. Second of all, is enough of them to enable to protect all of America and all our allies. Secondly, if we want to produce energy for the Earth and become dependent on this, because we only got less than 47 years of oil left on this Earth, fossil fuels, based on the reports, if you don't build any more oil reserves and things. So we need to know how many to do it. And then the other thing is, if you want to control the weather, you definitely need them around the Leo area and all of the other ones, because remember, they create energy, change it, and retrodirectively transmit it. So it can receive and transmit energy. So you can use them all as a bunch of receiver and transmitters too, if you need to do it. Like even on the dark side of the Earth, if you need a ton of energy there. Say you've got a huge asteroid coming to Earth to wipe us out. We could wipe them out with these power stars. That's the key. This is the fun part. This is the how-to. Where do we start? Full digital definition is the only way to do things nowadays, and the Space Force is dedicated to that, which is the right thing to do. So yes, we need to do full digital definition. That means all models and simulation and analysis, full-blown CAD/CAM, CAE, CAM, everything has to be done that way. The great thing is, I know Dassault is modeling the entire Earth. That's one hell of a project. We can use that. We could use that for protecting the Earth, and we can use it for doing weather control. We need the hypothetical models. They have to be hyperlinked to each other, and then we have to validate that with different, of course, modeling, simulation, those hypothetical models, and tests to verify and validate what we're working with are good tools, and all the documentation meets the results that we're trying to get to. Okay, so, and then we have to share the data. We need all our information from all our SATs, both with the Department of Defense, the Air Force, NASA, and NOAA models. Okay, yes, we're launching a new environmental analysis satellite today. So this is a great thing. The more we have, the better we get to do our definition. Digital transformation and growth. As you see here, we're actually going into Web 4.0, okay, along with more AI. So, but this is a historical background of the development and definition of digital transformation, both with the internet and our own tools of doing CAD, CAM, and development itself. You can see the timelines I've shown here, and then that also is broken into 4 different categories. It's a self-explanatory slide. Sure. Digital definition. Now, this comes right out of your own Space Force digital definition guidelines, okay? It must be first, interconnected force effectively and efficiently, okay? Second, an innovative force routinely embraces new approaches, rapidly challenges the status quo. We have to do that, and we have to do it more often and more frequently. Third, the digital dominance. Yes, we need the digital domination for our ability to come up with hypothetical ideas and models and able to get results from questions if we should have them, and something awkward should happen, say we've got an asteroid coming to wipe us out, or say some people are acting really ridiculous and they're setting off some, maybe a nuclear event. We need to know how to actually effectively drop this, stop this, and nothing can do it better than hypersonics or anything else. Nothing's better than a directed energy weapon and a high-powered microwave system like the Power-Star. So this is it. Now, digital engineering, the digital workforce, headquarters operations, all this comes out of your basic standard operating procedure. I'll let you read this because I'm sure you already have if this is what you do for a living. This is another slide that explains how we actually do the system integration, okay, system level integration and control, right? Big data, pattern recognition, hypothetical models, predictive analysis, adaptive self-learning system automation, safety and security, scalability and optimization, compliance, and risk management. All these things we do, okay? And the more we have better models of doing, I could show you how to do this. We did this with the future combat systems. It's going to be easier to do it with the space systems. To my opinion, it's going to be easier. So, and then real-time decision making. This just explains what we have to get to and what we have to do and things that have to be considered. This is a great slide to show you image-wise the digital definition of what it takes to develop an entire product and program or weapon system. Okay, model management, version control, filters, efficient storage, and so on. Great visual model to explain it. Okay, the collaboration, it has to be transparent and traceable, and which will bring us a very good quality and improved processes for developing these products. And the one thing is, and able to do all this modeling, it does require a lot of power and clean water cooling to do these systems, okay, for supercomputers. That's just the price you have to pay when you're going digital. And able to meet and exceed the mission statement of in, from, and to space, the new weapon system requires definition, plans, schedules, and studies, trades, modeling simulation, and an operational requirements document. That's where we start all weapon systems. Over on this right-hand side, you'll see the basics for an operational definition of a new weapon system, which we call an ORD. Modeling, verification, validation, of course. You have your 2 curves here, your upper lower V's, that's for requirements. You have to make the master plan for resources, human, technology, equipment, IMP, which is plans and integrated models for scheduling. All this has to be done. Space warfare analysis, like the SWOTs, the ones that Paul Szymanski and our Space Warrior group is great at. This is the way that we look at future wars. He's got the models to do that. We need to do that, and we need to do it with adding artificial intelligence where we can ask different questions and have them hyperlinked for answers. That's where we got to go. Let's get into it. As I was just talking, the model-based systems engineering for requirements, okay, customer marketing requirements. We are the customer. We know what this basic weapon system has to do. We know what the entire Earth is like, and we know who's our enemy and who's not our enemy and who could become one. We know what the future looks like based on our estimates. I've seen 50-year plans. We've been doing them at least since I've been in the Department of Defense type of work. We've always had decent forecasts. Let's hope we still do. Kind of wonder sometimes though. So anyway, this is your model-based systems engineering flows and different guidelines. This has to be done that way. So that way the digital models cooperate exactly with the requirements and validation and verification, and everything is working together for a more accurate development of the whole system. This is another slide explaining the digital definition, but it's more, this one's more detail oriented and model-based systems engineering in the maps. Okay, systems engineering along with program management is where all programs start. Is we have to do based on the customer and marketing requirements, which on this one, this would actually be an operational requirements document. Your SWOTs will get you to the ORDs. And then, and able to break that down further, you need a system, which is system of systems, and then you need a system of systems, and then you need the subsystems, both hardware and software requirements, the BOMs, bill of materials, which also could be like systems architecture, very close to each other, and the product different catalogs, okay? Each one is interfaced and collectively dependent on each other. The CAD model itself is dependent on the requirements, and each thing has to be fit and satisfied for the structures, the behaviors, the requirements, and parametrics. Okay, so all the data and all the information has to be proven, verified, and validated. This is a visual representation of what has to be completed that way. Okay, this is the SWOT, which is Space Warfare Analysis and Tools. Thank you, Paul Szymanski from the Space Strategy Center out of New Mexico. And boy, I don't have time to get into this. I will have links on this. Each one of these links, okay, there's a space course of action with algorithms and software tools developed by the Paul and the Space Control and Situational Awareness. Based on his 40 plus years of experience in doctrines and strategies and tactics, we can show you exactly how you'd look at a strategy for war on every different side, whether it be a different country, a different technology, and different methods of how you would actually succeed in winning the next space war. So let's go into further detail. Okay, this briefing index, each one of these categories here, the space warfare analysis and tools, there must be about 100 slides to each one of these categories, okay? Space centers of gravity, okay? And so for space warfare, each one has huge files and explains everything. They need to be hyper-threaded with trait analysis. Dr. Strimling from the Future Combat Systems had the greatest one that we used, and I know the DoD uses it now. At least I know TARDAC uses it, okay? So maybe I'll have to bring it to the space group. But it's the best one for doing trade studies and hyperlinking to get to the right answer without having attitudes and egos being harmed by it because of the way we do that. Okay, so yes, every one of these things has to be defined, and we have roadmap of exactly what to do and how to get there. So everything we talk about is very well defined and strategically figured out, and then we have to adapt it to what our future warfare will be. This again, now for real space systems, statistics menu, we know exactly what we have up there now. I would hope that you have this already available in a clean map of exactly every category that we show here, right? Okay, size, mission graphs, satellite status, country, blah, 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 launch, inclinations, I mean, eccentric, the elliptical, orbital, and then altitude and inclination. So everything to do with our space weapons and satellites has to be easy, find, and click, and get your answers immediately. This is just a picture to show you we do have this technology, we do have the method of doing this, and like I said, each one of these goes into hundreds of different charts and graphs to get you there. So it does exist. On another time in detail, we can go through this. We had just finished the how-to overall. Of course, it's a big subject, and we're going to try to get through a lot of this as fast as we can. So the how-to, I've shown the overviews for each area of consideration that has to be fulfilled. You know that we know how to do it. And now we're going to go into the next one, the weather system and climate change, along with climate control. So first of all, you got to know what the hell's going on with this planet? Where are we? What's going on? How much water is in the air? How much water based on different scenes, and looking at it within the last, let's look at as many years as we have for good climatic analysis, okay? And then you want to look at where the waters are, okay? They're damming up more water, certain areas, especially China and certain areas down down the Euphrates and so on. Everything is changing, okay? We do know, hypothetically, from NASA's analysis, that floods will increase, droughts and fires will increase. All these links are here. Tornadoes will increase, famines and pestilence. Well, the pestilence of the Wuhan coronavirus, that was purposely done and at will by China. I mean, that's why they did it. So, and they still never paid a price for it. Uh, that was a pestilence we could have avoided if we had smarter leadership and we didn't have an enemy trying to destroy us from within. So now we want to talk about the different aerospace technologies of exactly how we can solve the problems. Okay, we can do desalination, energy from space, taming weather, and I'll explain. As we had just mentioned about the NASA models, and if you've watched the great video documentary by Leo, with astronaut Pierce Sellers. Rest in peace, Pierce. You did a great job. I'm glad that Leo got to sit down and talk to you and show you how Europe is going to get worse and the deserts are going to get hotter. Well, this chart is an overview to explain that. Okay, now we know that the sun's going to enlarge and eventually swallow the Earth. If we have enough power stars around the Earth, we could influence moving our Earth away from the sun as it gets huger. This is the only system that I know of that could have enough of an influence on the entire planet itself. We could, if we had enough of them, we could eventually, with enough time, move it away from being swallowed up. Nobody else has come up with that. We just have. So let's get into more details. Oh, and then for the climate activists, I'm all for being prepared and preventing it. But when it comes into tax scams, that's not a good thing. And carbon credits, I can't disagree with that because that does explain pollutants, which means if it goes to China and India, which has the largest coals and burning fossil fuels, they would go broke. But it is a logical way to look at things if we say that it is polluting our Earth. It is always wise to use the most accurate and most recent information along with back traces of information, right? Back facts to know what got you where you are today and understanding where you are and where you're going in the future. We know I live on the ocean, so I know the water has risen a lot. Since the 80s, I know the Pacific Ocean at the high tides is more than 6 inches. That's why our oceans actually, where we have bridges, it actually goes over the lights that the, Army Corps of Engineers put in there. So, and I know they never did that before. So, for a fact, sea levels are getting higher, and they're going to continue to get higher. Now we have a way to start defending and improving on this. Again, on using real science and real analysis. This climate uh, analyzer is one. There's a couple links in here. You can see we have proven, NASA has proven that it has increased. It's what I've shown. Actually, it's a lot larger than this, especially if you live on the Pacific, where we get the largest influx. So we know that, and we know that El Nino and La Nina, they have opposite effects, but they are very influential to our effects, both in weather and crop growth and everything else. Thank God that the Midwest and is feeding most of the world with corn, and that creates the most oxygen. It's probably what 10 times larger than the entire Amazon rainforest, and that's because we grow stuff in America. Thank God for that. I try to load up my slides with different YouTube videos and different places where I get my data from. So since we are in an El Nino, okay, and this El Nino is actually based on solar flares and holes in the sun. Right, last time I looked, it was just below 140 holes in the sun, and prior to that was like 40. A year before that was like less than 30 or something. But up until 2025, 2026 is when we're going to have the most. So if it's more than 300, 400, 500, 600, that's going to be a huge effect in our El Nino. Okay. And yes, it is the sunspots that create these type of events. No, it's not. It's not your CO2 crap. It is the sun's flares, okay, and sunspots. Let's talk real science, okay? Always talk real science. No more bullshit. So, yes, this is the way the ocean currents flow, and yes, we do care about the deep ocean current, and of course, enable to recycle and reoxygenize our ocean currents. During high El Ninos, it becomes worse, and the events are even more devastating. And then you'll go to the opposite side. Instead of being hotter, you're going to go to the colder side. So that's La Nina. So, and they have different effects in different places of where you are located on the earth. Everyone needs to understand that these are cyclical, okay? Every 12, 13 years, they flip. So you need to know that. And sometimes it changes based on the sun's activity. So, I mean, it's always based on the sun activity. So you need to know what's going on at that event. Thank God we have a lot of NASA satellites examining our sun and the Earth, so you could have accurate data all the time. Back to understanding the weather first, okay? We know the Earth's rotation is around 1,000 miles, just over 1,000 miles per hour, okay, at the Beltline or the equator. And we know that in different places, like in North America, 733 miles per hour. At the poles, it's 0. Okay, we know that. We know where the jet stream's going, what the current, the subtropical jet and the polar jets. We know where they are, both in the northern and southern hemisphere. Okay, we know the polar air and how it recirculates, and we know based on the high pressures and low pressures and different seasonal times of where they are and what they do and what the effects are. Okay, this explains it really well in detail. There are a few more links you can look at to understand a little bit more. Now, once you understand this and you can start controlling things, now first understand the weather first, and then how would you change the weather systems? That means modeling. Just some information from different satellites. You'll see that weather does have frequencies, okay? I put the frequencies here. It goes from 10 all the way to just below 190, okay, in gigahertz. So you can see weather does have measurable frequencies in gigahertz. Now, you see we have a lot of weather control satellites already in orbit, okay? We've been measuring the weather frequencies and the different effects on the Earth and the weather under the Earth or inside the Earth and the water on the outside. So we're measuring everything continuously. And we know where everything is from our different satellites right now, which is fantastic. The magic degrees for creating convection is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. If the oceans and water temperature is 68 or hotter, that means you're going to get more convection, which means you're going to get more clouds, which means you're going to be able to hold on to it up to a certain altitude, right? Based on temperature and altitude. So now if we had enough satellites around the Earth, and we can actually not just measure where all the different high pressures, low pressures, and temperatures are, but we can start controlling those temperatures, both cold and hot, and start finding out exactly, measuring every tornado and every hurricane, we will be able to understand exactly how to prevent those by the creation of them. Okay? By seeing how they're created, we can start de-spiraling backwards and unwrap exactly how to prevent these. It's basic science. How important is it if you could control, if you can tame the weather, if you could get rid of tornadoes or reduce them to not killing people, if you can eliminate the floods, the droughts, the hurricanes, the $10 billion Katrina hurricane itself, that explains a lot right there. You know, you need cost benefit analysis, how many satellites, the orbital positions, the modeling and simulation techniques of what it takes to understand it and how to unwrap these weather conditions and how to actually make them work. And then we do know which suppliers would be the best for this. It's our existing space suppliers today. And then we need a schedule, and we must harden our grid system because the future weather is not as friendly as past weather. But that happens over a couple of hundred years. It happens all the time. So it's nothing totally amazing. Uh, anyway, so watch these couple of links here, and then how important would it be if we can control it? We can get rid of the droughts in the desert areas, if we can make it rain where it doesn't rain, if you want to. But is it smart to? Maybe if you cause it to rain where it doesn't rain and shouldn't rain, maybe you'd cause more detrimental effects. So you need to analyze that. We can do that with those huge models at more of the beginning of the presentation. As shown in a prior slide, I'm bringing it back here again, and able to do the weather control, we actually need more satellites down to the LEO area so we can start controlling the weather of our planet. Okay, all the other ones in the different orbits, all that does is gives you a lot more horsepower to work with, okay? Because remember, they send and receive, and they create. They create, send, and receive. So this is just a rehash of what we have to continue to do. And we need to analyze where the orbit should be and how many and so on. This subject is dear and dear to my heart because when I had seen that we could control the entire weather of this planet and the means of doing so with these different Power Star satellites and our entire Power Star shield around the Earth. Okay, well, so in 9 years from now, we will dominate the entire Earth, which means we control all warfare and prevent all warfare on Earth. Okay, and asteroids coming to Earth to destroy us. So that means we must have some type of Camp David in outer space where the president himself and different heads of state can go up and visit him at space and have a meeting there and explain what's going on and sign peace agreements. And should one want to fight the other guy, we could, in front of their eyes, vaporize any of the shit they think is really important to them. We could just vaporize it in front of their eyes and say, okay, now what do you want to deal with? Yes, we hopefully never have to. We could hopefully just do that in videos. And the ability to now remember in the late 80s we actually vaporized a nuclear missile silo in New Mexico from outer space. Remember, we set off a huge explosion in space to create that beam that we blew up on. And once Russia seen that we could do that with SDI, that's it. They threw off the gloves and said, okay, we can't compete with that. Proven. The true fact of being able to build such a fantastic space White House, which we will call the Peace Palace, we need space assembly. And I'm sure that the Space Force and Northrop and the Gateway Foundation has been looking at this in detail. I come from the world of making this type of equipment for automation. Grew up in that world. This is very, very doable, and I'm glad we need more ingenuity this way and making repair and maintainability standard operating procedure. That has to be done. Thank you guys for already proceeding down that path. In a similar spirit of doing space assembly, we know the Space Force has contracted with Northrop, I believe, to do that satellite refueling center, which is fantastic. That means you get longer life, and we have an in-orbit center, which is fantastic. Very well thought out. Thank you, Space Force, for going ahead with good plans. Kudos. Kudos, Air Force, for doing the blended wing body. It looks great. I remember in the late 80s, we had proposed to have a C-17 replacement, which was going to be a blended wing body, similar to what's shown here, but it also had canted or movable wings like the B-1B or the F-14 Tomcat. And it could do supersonic also. So that would be the best way to do it. The greatest thing about transport aircraft is it increases the government foundation of inventory. It also increases the taxes. So for every $1 spent on a program like a C-17, you get $10 back. And that was proven. You don't get the same thing on a military fighter jet like a JSF or an F-22. But on a transport like the C-5 and the C-17, yes, it evolved the entire industry. It made people smarter. The people that did the work became a lot more smart. The entire aerospace industry grew, and our capability to supply the world with the leading edge technology in aerospace was reality. So let's keep doing it. I love this slide. I love what it says, and thank you, Steve Robinson, from the uh, from the Space Shuttle program. I love the spirit of exploration. It's truly part of what is human. Human history has been continual struggle from darkness toward the light, a search for knowledge and deeper understanding, a search for truth. Ever since the distant ancestor ventured forth into the world, there has been insatiable curiosity to see what lies beyond the next hill, what lies beyond the horizon. That is the fire of human spirit that we all carry. Amen to that. So that's what it was. I love this picture because it shows a space shuttle and it shows the three Mayflowers that came over. So that's fantastic. Looking into the future. And yeah, through hardships to the stars. So yes, we need to go and venture into outer planetary exploration. The one on the right-hand side, we need to just flood the entire interstellar universes with a bunch of power stars and use them as trackers. Not only do we use them for measurements and analysis and such, but because they're also photon rockets, they keep traveling. So we just keep sending a bunch of them out there throughout the entire universes, and we use them as tracker beams so we can venture out even further and further into unknown destinies to find even better plan Bs. Let's keep going. I thought this was important. I love the pictures that are shown here because we in humankind are getting better. We're not great yet, but we're getting much better. Once we start caring more about our neighbors and taking care of them as we do ourselves, then we know we've become a decent species. I think America's was always heading towards that path. Um, And I think we should continue to go that way. Yes, it is time to wed the heavens and the earth. On the last slide, I showed you how we can go into interstellar, kind of, but I didn't talk about the energy systems to get there yet. Now, over in the lower left-hand side, you see the earth and how it travels around the universe and around the sun. Well, if we envelop this entire earth with a bunch of power stars, say instead of getting swallowed into a black hole, or we send a spacecraft like a power star, we could travel it into a black hole and see what happens. So we need to keep evolving where we're going, and then we need to control our weather. We need to dominate and control the garden of this planet Earth, and then build more Earths out there. So let's keep going. Do not stop, and stop fighting each other. As long as you can dominate with these power stars and vaporize them, you can stop fighting. This must be a Department of Defense initiative. Why? Because it changes all warfare on Earth forever. Period. No other technology has ever been presented to the Department of Defense that was so astronomically incredible. I mean, it was Ronald Reagan's SDI dream, Strategic Defense Initiative, also known as Star Wars, which, yes, some of us got to work on. Well, this is the ultimate Star Wars wet dream. Not only does it become the ultimate weapon of vaporizing any threat anywhere at almost the speed of light, but it also gives you benefits that are way beyond measurable. What if you could control all the weather of Earth? That's exactly what we're talking about. So yes, we have to use it as a weapon right away, become the dominating force on the planet, period end, and then we go and we actually tame this planet of ours and make it more hospitable for growing everywhere on Earth, and just keep terraforming this planet. Let's keep going. This slide is a little bit more all-inclusive. After we do it first as the ultimate weapon system to dominate space and Earth, then we have to continue on and share it with our friendly nations and restrict those who are unfriendly. This is we have the choices: the red pill, the blue pill, or the purple pill. I love that because it's not Democrat or Republican, but it's a combination of everything for harmony. This creates harmony. It creates harmony because no longer are you ever second best to anyone for anything, period, end. So that means we create harmony to all our adversaries because we could wipe them out at any time we want to. And they wouldn't want that, so that means they should join us and be harmonious with us. So, happy Chinese New Year. Let's make it happen. All right, how do we do this? Who are the leaders and who are the primes? So, I shortlisted it because I'm extremely familiar with everyone in the aerospace and defense industry. So, of course, it has to be led by Space Force with help from NASA, Department of Energy, also NOAA, because we're going to look at weathers, conditions, and so on. So yes, led by the Space Force, they have to do the ORD, they have to do the SWATs, and all the different war um, assessments. Okay, so we have Space Force leadership. Elon Musk and SpaceX. Elon personally has an invested interest in making humanity succeed outside of Earth to have a plan B. That's exactly the head you need to lead this. So yes, he would be supplier number prime contractor number one, definitely. He's proven to be fast and effective. So SpaceX and Elon Musk, number one. Number two would be Northrop Grumman because they have proven themselves successful and innovative in space technologies. Millennium, which is now owned by Boeing, Boeing Millennium, is another fantastic space organization that has to be a prime. And of course, Raytheon. Raytheon, the inventor of radar and the proven maker of transmitting electricity, electromagnetics, wirelessly. They've already done it. Of course, we can do more than that, but you got to have them part of it. The other one is the Trump Organization. You can't find a more passionate person who has been a president, who understands building large buildings, but this is a different atmosphere, so we're going to have to help them with the atmosphere or lack of thereof atmosphere, right? So, yes, the Trump Organization should be part of leading the Peace Palace, which we will call the Peace Palace or the Blue House. All right, so you see the budget numbers for space defense budgeting in billions, right? If that's numbers in thousands, so that means that's in billions, $30 billion. Now you can see the years are going out to 2028. Because this development is part of AFRL and the Space Force's mission, it should be included no matter what. If you wanted to separate it and make a coin for the Space Force to do this, or just this type of space power star, you could have it funded and it would be the number one profit making organization in the entire world. So we don't care that we do care that you have this budget. Keep it. We won't affect it, except we'll make it huger. We will make it the biggest thing in the world. So whether it comes from you guys or not, it doesn't really matter. For scientific R&D, a lot of that stuff should be done right away, both with DARPA and AFRL and SDA. Definitely should be done right away. And we are ready to help you guys do this as soon as possible without affecting your budget except making it bigger by making it a profit center. Okay, here's what we know. We know we have United States and Japanese patents for number one, the Power Star itself, both in Japan and the US. Also, solar microwave fabric, the key ingredient to making this function. It can be used for not just the POWER-STAR itself material, but the solar microwave fabric would also be used at the receiving centers, which would be over top of the transformers at the power grids. You'd also put them, you'd make tents out of it. They'd be like a Faraday cage, and they'd also have bulletproof material, and they would actually create their own electromagnetic armor. So you'd put them around tents, you'd put officer tents, you'd put tents of it, you'd wrap our military fuel vehicles with it. You'd make a lot of things to protect with it. All critical infrastructure should be made with the solar microwave fabric. No, that's again US and Japanese patented. Also, the POWER-STAR analysis went out to many quantum astrophysicists and many physicists around the world, PhDs, and they tried to poke holes in it, and it stands perfect as it is. Number 4, the case for space solar power. John Mankin's book, great. We're not talking space solar power here exactly. We are talking a weapon system. But for transmitting 5.8 gigahertz, that has been the key for sending energy. If we're going to do, okay, you know, your microwaves are half of that, right? A microwave, what's in a microwave is 2.45, right? So it's half of the 5.8 gigahertz. Just to let you know, right? And then if you focus it in, you know, and we're talking, 3 million degrees on a small focused area, that thing's gone, vaporized. The SAMPE, Society for Advancement of Material Process Engineers, another organization I'm part of, wrote a solar microwave fabric technical paper. Dave Hyland and myself last year wrote that and submitted it to him. Also, we have, I've started writing the Space Force World Protection Plan. This is a document I believe I've already given to some people in the Space Force. And then number 7 is when I was going to make a business and I had $54 billion, I had more than $1 billion available with Blue Capital, my buddy Hal, rest in peace. I wrote the business plans, profit and loss statements, and plans, and it just needs to be all reworked for the new Space Force missions. So we have a lot to work with right now as it is. Now the retrodirective sciences, as we had spoken from the John Mankins, you can see here, I put the Earth on it and the transformer, so you know exactly that line that they're talking about, okay? And you can see exactly how retrodirective does work. There again is a POWER-STAR analysis report, and this shows you that it does functionally work, and it's scientifically proven. So now let's go to the next step. As a quick recap from session 1 and 2, this is the technical capability. Creates energy, sends and receives energy. Okay, it could be, if it's focused on something that it knows it wants to send energy to, it will. If it senses something that is not approved, then it will focus on it and it will vaporize it. Yes, each one based on his method would be, with the 20% efficiency is 200 megawatts, or equivalent of 130 suns or 3 million degrees of energy zapped onto a small missile or whatever you send at us. And if we have enough of them, we can handle all the nuclear warheads on Earth at the same time with enough of them. So who else can deliver that? We have just shown you the science to get you there. This cost-benefit analysis, or return on investment, small scale, was my original, this is a few years ago when Blue Capital was still around, and they were doing 90% of all the clean energy around the world. Well, actually in America, 90% of all the clean energy was done by Blue Capital and my buddy Howell. So anyway, back then I put together this entire cost-benefit analysis. You can see the funding of what it requires. Back then it was what, $1.7 trillion to do all of these. The Instagrid itself, solar microwave fabric, the protected grid, which is to protect our grid system, right? $1.8 trillion market. Of course, the POWER-STARs, way more than $20 billion return on investment, way more. Because we were looking at a limit which was given to me by Dr. Paul Werbos. He says, only go after 10% of the energy market, and that's to handle the growth. Well, since we're going to go for weapon systems, we're going to go for the number that it requires to make the weapon system to handle all weapons if they were fired on us. All right, and I've shown you a chart of all the nuclear missiles in the stockpiles. So it's all in this presentation. So yes, this is the numbers, and yes, it could be done, and we can do it in less than 9 years. I know we can make that 2033 deadline because it's the ultimate day historically. It's more famous of a date than anything else in history, and why we don't pay attention to it would be super stupid of us not to. So we need to show honor of God, our Creator, that we can do great things to help bring peace on earth. And if we don't do it, well, you can count on your adversary or your enemy doing it, and then you become enslaved by them. How are you going to answer that one? Quick conclusion. Yes, doing a Space Power Star shield is very, very doable, especially in the time frame of the 9 years that I've given you. I know that you look at things even farther out. Let's get real. Let's do something that's totally serious for all of mankind. Make this happen in the 9 years. We can make it happen, especially if you put myself and a lot of my team members that I know can get this done on time instead of messing around and going through the bureaucracies. Let's just get it done. Let's do it. And then we can reign peace on earth. So everything is doable. We can develop, after we get these up there, then we can develop the weather taming and control system. So that way we don't have to be slaves to weather, which we are not in control of. We know we have the scientific capability to be in control of. So let's do it. And let's set up the world's biggest festival for the Christ 2,000 year anniversary. That's very, very doable. So what are we waiting for? And here are the key final points. U.S. should be and shall be the first to deploy the Power Star shield. Not an enemy. If we let an enemy do this, then you will be enslaved to that enemy. All right? We're not globalists. This is the United States of America. We are not, USA is to defend itself and all our allies. We are to supply the money, GDP, just like we did in World War II. It was agreed to. And now that we've just stopped all World War III capability, we are again to continue to be the #1 monetary system of the world. You can do your BRICS and everything else. I've shown you the charts on that. But there should be only one, and it is the United States dollar. Okay, and energy, that's a side effect we get for free. Almost. And if you want to pay for it and make the Space Force the richest profit center in the entire planet forever, we make a coin that everyone can invest in. Not just a taxable thing that goes off to the DoD world. We make a separate identity for it. And it's linked to the Federal Reserve. No central bank. We are not a globalist, nor should we fall under their evil demands. The World Economic Forum, come on, they brag about killing people with COVID. They brag about putting people under their thumb and making them drones. Just do what's right. Don't be stupid. We found out the WEF and the WHO are not human-friendly organizations. They're imperialistic, tyrannical. Let's kick their butt on this one. Then we need to build the Peace Palace. If we're going to be in control and dominate the entire planet and go into outer space, into other planets, we need a Peace Palace. And we should have a Peace Palace if this entire Earth starts going into war. We need that Peace Palace, no matter what. And start writing peace agreements once we get it up there. And of course, the economic powerhouse is we need to build the new large supersonic and hypersonic space transports and space transport. So we need new large blended wing bodies. We also need supersonic and hypersonics. We can do it. Don't let anyone tell you we can't. I know we can. I worked on National Aerospace Plane. I know where we fell off on not getting it done, but we did make the materials, so now it becomes the best armor in the world. So yes, we need to make that. And again, a cost benefit analysis of 10 to 1. So every $1 tax dollar spent returns 10 back to our own base. Smartest method to keep this country number one. And finally, the next steps. We want to prove the cost benefit analysis and risk areas. We know exactly how to do that. We definitely want contracts for Dr. Dave and myself, and I do have a team of experts that are ready and willing to help us with this as soon as possible. We need a memorandum of understanding, of course, being from the defense world. That's exactly how we start on all these kind of programs with a memorandum of understanding or an MOU. For the initial program study with decision points, timing, the resources, and milestones. Like I did for Samsung in Korea, which would have been of all Asia, got to write the master plan of everything it requires to do it. And this one has to be focused for the Space Force as the World Protection Plan. I know exactly how to do this step by step and exactly what you're going to get out of it. So talk to me about this and let's get going on it. So I have a suggested super team. Now, the super team below us, Elon, proven, great, humanitarian, good morals, and SpaceX, Northrop Grumman again, Boeing Millennium, and Raytheon. Who is the king of satellites? Of course, SpaceX, and they will continue to do so, and they'll even have them around Mars and other planets that we go to. So that is our next steps, and my next step is to get it directly in front of General Chance Saltzman. Thank you for listening, Chance. I hope this met, I did it at a high level. I hope it met all the questions you might have. And please let me come and visit you, hopefully at the LA facility or Colorado, your choice. LA is easier for me. So I look forward to meeting with you personally. And I will be meeting with the presidents of all four of these companies. The Boeing people, I know the presidents there know me on a personal name basis already. I did things in the past where I was going to have Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger sign the door of the 747. That was earlier, in 2009 or 10, and then it was going to go on to a Lufthansa airplane, and that was going to be delivered. And then when it went on the airplane, we'd have President Obama sign that airplane. So it was a big thing, but the company I was working for at the time ended up selling itself. So it was funny because Governor Arnold, it was April 1st of what 2009 or 10, and he ended up not going to sign the door, but right next door he went to SpaceX to drive the tiny little Tesla sports car up and down Jack Northrop Avenue. So now let's go ahead and let's make this happen. I will be talking to you each individually, and I hope you have a blessed day and a blessed year. Thank you. Bye for now.